This is the 8th video of BRM second chapter. In this video, let us understand about the research design and its concepts. Well, let us understand about the meaning of research design. Research design is nothing but the blueprint of the action. We all know that design is nothing but the plan. Well, a research design is nothing but the master plan which specifies the methods and procedures where a researcher can use in order to collect the data as well as to analyze the data. In a research design, the researcher can mention the nature of the study, what is the scope of the study, the limitations of their research, the period covered in order to conduct the research, what are the techniques of sampling which is to be used in the research, and what are the methods of data which he uses in order to collect the data. So these are the things mainly which will be mentioned in the research design by the researcher. So now let's understand few concepts which will be used in the research design. That is dependent variable, also known as endogenous variable, independent variable, also known as exogenous variable. The other one is extraneous variable. Well, let's understand the meaning of the first one, that is dependent variable. Dependent, as the name itself says, this variable is dependent on something else. That is, when changes in one variable is depend upon the changes in another variable, that is known as dependent variable. So let's understand about the independent variable. Here also the name itself says that the variables are independent to the changes in the other variable. That is, in other words, we can say it in a reverse manner. That is, the variables that causes the change in the dependent variable is known as independent variable. That's also known as exogenous variable. The third variable is extraneous variable. Here also the name it says that is extraneous variable. Here these are the variables which is not exactly called as independent variable but will have an effect on the dependent variable. So that is nothing but extraneous variable. Let us understand about these variables with an example. You can observe here in the right side of your screen, that is, there is a yield, that is a land, that is a crop yield, and the yield of the land is dependent on rain, soil fertility, in fertilizers, and to some extent on the climatic condition. Here the yield of a land is dependent on rain, so yield is nothing but dependent variable. This rain, fertilizers, soil fertility is called as independent variable. So the change, when the change occurs in rain, the change would occur in yield. So this is dependent on rain. So this yield is nothing but the dependent variable. In other words, if a change occurs in fertilizer, then the change occurs in yield. If there is a change in yield, then the fertilizer will not change. That's why this is independent. This is not dependent on any other things. That is, fertilizer, rain, soil fertility is not dependent on yield. But if there is a change in soil fertility, rain and fertilizers, then there will be a change in the yield. That's why yield is a dependent variable. Rain, soil fertility, fertilizers are independent variable, also known as exogenous variable. Now, you observe the climatic condition. Climatic condition is not directly linked to yield, but we can say that it will have some impact on the yield of the crop. Okay, that's why this is called as extraneous variable. So which is an extra element which is not exactly called as independent variable but will have an impact on the yield of the crop, or we can say it as it will have an impact on the dependent variable. That's why this is called as extraneous variable. Well, let's understand the next concept, that is process of research design. In the process of research design, where the researcher is going to mention, the first thing is the selection and definition of a problem. In the research design, he is going to mention how the process of selecting the topic as well as defining the problem is done. After mentioning about the problem, the next thing is through what sources of data he is going to collect the information. That is what he is going to mention in the research design. The next thing, in the research design, the researcher is going to mention about the nature of the study. That is, whether it is a descriptive study or a qualitative study or a quantitative study. So the nature of the study is going to be mentioned by the researcher in the research design. The next thing is going to mention the objectives of the study. Then what is the geographical area where the research is going to be conducted. The next one is what is the exact sample size from whom the data would be collected. Then what is the basis of selecting the sample would be used, that is either probability sampling or the non-probability sampling. The next one is the techniques of data collection, that is whether it's primary data or secondary data. If it is a primary data, then whether it's a observation method or a survey method or a questionnaire method or telephonic method. So which technique exactly is going to use in the research design will be mentioned in this process. That is the whole process of research design. The researcher is going to mention about first what is the definition of problem, through what source is going to collect the data, whether it's primary or secondary. The next is what is the nature of study, objectives of the study, in which area the research is conducted, what is the sample size of the research, on what basis the selection of sampling technique is used, and what is the technique of data collection which will be used in order to conduct his research. So these things will be mentioned in the research design. So now let us understand the next topic, that is the types of research design, the most important. There are mainly three types of research design, that is exploratory research design, conclusive research design. Also known here we have two types, that is descriptive research design and causal research design. Experimental research design, we have two types, that is informal experimental research design and the formal one. So let's understand about these types in detail. Exploratory research design. So exploratory research is nothing but a research which is conducted when the researcher wants to know about a concept in depth, or when the researcher has very less knowledge about a concept or a phenomena or a situation, then he want to explore more about that particular phenomena, then this type of research will be conducted. Further, let us know in what cases this exploratory research will be conducted. The first and foremost is this exploratory research will be conducted when it is applied to identify the problems or the opportunities. That is, when a researcher wants to know in which area he wants to conduct a research, and when he wants to define or select a problem, nothing but the topic, he conducts a exploratory research. So first and foremost, to identify the problems or opportunities, then to define the problem more precisely, to gain more insights or knowledge into each and every variable, to establish the priorities about these problems and opportunities the exploratory research is conducted. Also, to gain additional insights and knowledge about the approach, also the exploratory research is conducted. In a shortened term, we can say that the exploratory research is conducted in order to know the problems or the opportunities, and to define the problems more precisely, this exploratory research is conducted. So let us know about the next type, that is conclusive research. As I told you, it has two types, that is descriptive research and causal research. Let's understand about the descriptive research. So descriptive research is nothing but which is used in order to describe the situation or an event. In other words, descriptive research is undertaken when the researcher wishes to know the characteristics of certain group. That is, when he wants to define the age, occupation, income status of the people, or education of the people, this sort of research is used. The main objective of research, descriptive research, is to know the answers for who, what, when, and how about a situation or an event. In other words, let us see the uses of descriptive research, that is, in what situation or how it describes about the research. Well, the descriptive research is used to describe the market conditions or the perceptions about a product, or the characteristics of a relevant group, that is the characteristics of a respondent's age, in terms of age, occupation, income, education, and the demographic information. If the researcher wants to describe about the demographic information, this descriptive research is used. And also to discover the relationship between two variables, the descriptive research is used. So now let us understand the next concept, that is next type, that is causal research. Well, causal research, as the name itself says, it will have a cause and effect. That is, it investigates the cause and effect relationship between two or more variables. So here, the researcher measures the extent of how the relationship is associated between two or more variables. So let us see in which situation this causal research is used. So this causal research is used when the researcher wants to identify which variable will cause and which variable is an effect. That is, when he wants to identify which are the variables can be termed as independent variables and which are the terms which are the variables can be determined as dependent variable, he will conduct a causal research. In our previous example, we have taken an example of yield of the crop and we showed rain, soil, fertilizers or fertility of the soil and the fertilizers and all. So here when a researcher conducts this causal research, he will identify which are the dependent variables and which are the independent variable, which is the causing effect and which is the causing variable and which is the effect variable. So in the next step in causal research is used is to determine the nature of relationship between the causal variables and the effect to be predicted. So here the causal research is used when the researcher wants to know the relationship between the independent as well as the dependent variable, and also if he wants to predict the effect, then this causal research is used. In simplest words, we can say causal research is used when the researcher wants to know the cause and effect of the relationship between two variables. This is the third type of research design, that is the experimental research design. As the name itself says, the researcher is going to conduct some experiment in order to find out the results. That is, first the researcher is going to group the variables into dependent variable and also independent variable. After that, he is going to apply some experiments or the treatment, or we call it as measures, in order to find out the relationship between two variables, that is dependent and independent variable. So this experiment design can be further classified into two types, that is informal experiment research design and the formal experiment research design. So let's understand about this further. As you can observe on the slide, the types of experiment design has two types, as I told you, that is informal and formal. Informal can be further classified into three types, that is before and without control design, after only with control design, before and after with control design. Formal experiment design has two types, that is completely randomized design. The other one is randomized block design. Let us understand about each of this in detail. Well, under informal experiment research design, let's understand the first type, that is before and without control design. Here, the researcher is going to select the single test group, that is, he is going to select a single test. For that, he is going to measure the dependent variable before he applies a treatment. After he applies treatment also, he is going to measure the dependent variable. Let us understand this with an example. Suppose if there is a swimming pool, so what the researcher is going to do is, the researcher is going to measure the level of bacteria of the swimming pool. After that, he is going to apply certain chlorification treatment. So after the chlorification treatment, again he is going to measure the level of bacteria. Then if there is any difference, then he can say that the experiment is working out. So this is nothing but before and without control design. Why this name is? Before applying the treatment, he has checked the dependent variable. Then after applying the treatment also, he checked the dependent variable. That's why it's called as before and without control design. So the next type is after only with control design. Here the researcher is going to select two areas. One area we call it as test area, the other area we call it as control area. So here in the test area, he is going to apply the treatment. In the control area, he is not going to apply any treatment. He is just going to keep it as an observation. That's why it is called as control area. I repeat it again. We have two areas. One is test area and control area. Only for test area, the treatment is applied. After applying the treatment, the researcher is going to measure the dependent variables and compare these two areas. Let us understand this with an example. Suppose if there are two lands and the researcher wants to measure the yield of the crop, what he is going to do is, he will select one area or one land as the test area and he is going to apply certain fertilizers. So for another area, he is not applying any fertilizers. So after a period of time, again he will check the yield of the crop. So whatever the difference between the two, if there is any difference, then we can say that the fertilizer is working well. That's nothing but after only with control design. Why it got its name as after only with control design is, so before applying this treatment, the test is not conducted. That is, he is not going to measure any dependent variable. So he is going to measure only just after applying the treatment directly. That's why it's called as after only with control design. The third type is before and after with control design. Here, as the name itself says, before and after. That is, it is a combination of the first two. So let's understand how it's a combination of first two design. So here, the researcher is going to select two areas. After he selects two areas, for both the areas, before applying the treatment, he is going to measure the dependent variable. Then he applies the treatment only to the test area. Then he measures the dependent variable again after the treatment. I repeat, he is going to select two areas. Then he is going to measure the dependent variable of both the areas. Then we can say it as in two areas. One is test area, the other one is control area. Then he applies the treatment only to test area. After applying the treatment to test area, again he is going to measure the dependent variable after the treatment. That's why it is a combination of before and after with control design. So let's understand this with an example. As we have discussed in the previous example, there are two land. In both the land, under before and after with control design, what he is going to do is, for both the land, he is going to test the yield or crop of that particular land. So after he measures the yield of that particular land, both the lands, then for only one land, he is going to apply the fertilizers. After he applies, then again he conducts the testing of dependent variables. That is, again he will test the yield of both the lands. So that is nothing but before and after with control design. Let us understand about the formal experiment design. As we know, we have two types, that is CR design and RB design. CR design is nothing but when the variables are assigned to experiment treatments randomly. In other words, if each and every variable has an equal chance of being selected for the experiment purpose, then that is called as completely randomized design. Let us understand this with an example. Suppose if we have 10 patients and we have two types of treatment, that is treatment A and treatment B. And we wanted to test these treatments. So we want 5 people or 5 patients for treatment A and 5 patients for treatment B. So what we can do under completely randomized design is, we can randomly select 5 people for treatment A and 5 people for treatment B. That is called as completely randomized design, or also known as CR design. So let's understand the next one, that is randomized block design. Here, as the name itself says, block is nothing but the group. So here the researcher is going to divide the variables into groups or called as blocks. Then he is going to pick randomly certain units inside each blocks for his study. That is nothing but randomized block design. So let's understand this with an example. Suppose we have 100 acres of land and the researcher is converting this 100 or dividing this 100 acres of land into 10 acres each, that is 10 blocks each. So each block has 10 acres. So what he's going to do is, he's randomly going to pick 1 or 2 acres from each, that is we have 10 blocks. From each block he is going to pick 1 or 2 acres for his test, that is to test the fertility of soil. So that's nothing but randomized block design. So that's all about the second chapter. Thank you.